Hello, folks. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, for the first time since March of 2020, the American unemployment rate is below 5%. In just 8 months since I became president, below 5% at 4.8%. Let me just repeat that. Today's report has the unemployment rate down to 4.8%, a significant improvement from when I took office and a sign that our recovery is moving forward, even in the face of a COVID pandemic. That improvement was widespread. Unemployment for Hispanic workers was down, and the unemployment rate for African Americans fell almost a full percent, and it's now below 8% for the first time in 17 months. A drop of 496,000 in long-term unemployment is the second largest single-month drop since we started keeping records. The largest was in July. So in the past 3 months, we've seen a drop of 1.3 million long-term unemployed. That's the largest 3 months fall in long-term unemployment since we started keeping records in 1948. More to do, but great progress. And working Americans are seeing their paychecks go up as well. In September, we saw one of the largest increases in average wages paid to workers working Americans on record. Today's report comes one day after the Labor Department found in the third quarter of this year, the number of layoffs and job reductions was the lowest in this country since 1997. Overall, the unemployment report shows almost 200,000 jobs were created last month, over 300,000 in the private sector, and 26,000 in manufacturing, offset by some seasonal adjustments in education hiring. The monthly totals bounce around, but if you take a look at the trend, it's solid. On average, 600,000 new jobs created every month since I took office. And in 3 months before I got there, that was 1/10 what was being created. It's 60 to 60,000 as opposed to 600,000 jobs a month. In total, the job creation in the first 8 months of my administration is nearly 5 million jobs. Jobs up, wages up, unemployment down. That's progress. And it's a tribute to the hard work and resilience of the American people who are battling through this pandemic, working to keep their businesses afloat. Remember, today's report is based on a survey that was taken during the week of September the 13th. Not today, September the 13th.
I'm going to start with a quote that comes right from you. At a time when senior poverty is going up, our job must be to expand, not cut, Social Security. What's your plan?
Well, Scott, that does sound like me. We have, throughout this country, millions of seniors trying to get by on $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 a year. I don't know how they do it. They can't afford the prescription drugs they need. They can't afford to heat their homes adequately. They can't afford the food they need to maintain their health. To my mind, when I hear Republicans talking about cutting Social Security, that is reprehensible. Even worse, talking about privatizing Social Security. So what we have got to do as a nation is, first of all, to understand Social Security is not going broke. Social Security has $2.8 trillion in the trust fund, can pay out every benefit owed for the next 19 years. But that's not good enough. What we need to do is expand Social Security benefits because people can't make it on $11,000, $12,000, $13,000 a year.
So Republican and Democratic lawmakers have just reached an agreement on the U.S. debt ceiling. Congress may not have an infrastructure bill, but at least it has an off-ramp. Democrats and Republicans forged ahead on what appeared to be a compromise on a debt ceiling. Chuck Schumer even told reporters that too many Republicans seem proud of this, pushing us to the edge of default, and some of them Republicans want us to default. Now Schumer teed up to a vote to break a filibuster on a bill that was suspended debt ceiling through December of 2022. Democrats are poised to hold their noses and vote to clear the filibuster, but Republicans vowed to filibuster. A thought 50 Democrats voted yes. The Senate was still 10 votes shy of hitting the 60-vote threshold to extinguish the filibuster. There were warnings of what might happen if the federal government fell into the debt ceiling. Janet Yellen warned that the government would not have enough money to pay for healthcare benefits to Americans because the U.S. couldn't borrow to make up the difference. So if you currently receive a Social Security check, everybody, and wonder whether the government will shut down and it's going to impact your payment, just know this. Social Security payments will continue to go out as usual. That's because the Social Security Administration has the authority to continue mailing checks to beneficiaries, even if the government shuts down. that applies to both Social Security and Supplemental Security income checks. But the Social Security Administration will be affected in other ways. For example, benefit verification. Social Security claims and card issuances would cease. This would impact millions of Americans who don't currently get Social Security benefits. Democratic representative noted on his website that on a typical day, about 60,000 Americans apply for Social Security cards, which they might need to start a job and take out a loan. Government shutdowns have happened in the US before, most recently in 2013. During that shutdown, Social Security payments kept going out. And because Social Security payments are taken out of a trust fund through payroll taxes, checks should continue if the debt ceiling isn't raised. However, it might take a little longer than usual to get the checks. Beginning on October 1st, the U.S. Postal Office will implement new service standards for first class and mail periodicals.
Mr. President, Republican leader Mitch McConnell this morning once again reiterated that the Republican Party will not vote to lift the debt ceiling, and in an extraordinarily irresponsible manner, Republicans have indicated that they will not pay the debts incurred under the Trump administration. In his statement, as he has done time and time again, Senator McConnell implies that this debt ceiling has something to do with future spending. It does not. Like anyone who owns a credit card, the payments that are made are for past spending. In this case, spending incurred under the Trump administration. And let us be clear. If the United States, the largest economy in the world, defaults on its debt, it will plunge not only our country, but the entire global economy into what could become a severe economic depression. That means massive unemployment, higher interest rates, severe reduction in government services, and possible cuts in such programs as Social Security and Medicare. The irresponsibility of the Republican leadership is not just something that I worry about. According to press reports, former Republican Secretaries of Treasury Hank Paulson, who worked under George W. Bush, and Steven Mnuchin, who worked under Donald Trump, Republican Secretaries of the Treasury, both of them visited with Senator McConnell to make the case about the need to extend the debt ceiling.